Counseling People with Disabilities, researched and presented by Jennifer Bathrick, Teresa Schmidt, and Nicole Whittaker. Disability is an experience typically misunderstood by many, including counselors and professionals who don't work much with this kind of population. We as counselors need to change this trend. There are certain key points and essential information that counselors and professionals should know. Counselors need to be part of a therapeutic relationship with their client. They need to be open and allow themselves to open up to the possibility of learning about the experience and voice of disability. These efforts have the potential to benefit people with disabilities, the counseling professional, and the therapeutic relationship. Living with a disability can be a long journey, both mentally and physically. It can be just as tough for those who live with or care for disabled persons. Friends and family may too find it difficult to come to terms with a condition, as well as adapting to a lifestyle that involves new challenges. You may find disability counseling beneficial if you are suddenly classed as disabled as a result of an accident. Similarly, if you have a serious health condition such as cancer, it can provide some support that you will need. There are three main categories of disabilities: communicative, mental, and physical. Communicative disabilities include blindness or difficulty seeing, deafness or difficulty hearing, and speech difficulties. Mental disabilities include learning, intellectual, and developmental disabilities. This also includes Alzheimer's disease, senility, or dementia. They may have mental or emotional conditions that will interfere with their daily lives. The physical category of disabilities include those who may need the use of a walker, a wheelchair, cane, or crutches. They may also have difficulty walking, climbing stairs, or lifting. Some individuals may also have a condition that will limit their activity, such as arthritis, back or spine problems, cerebral palsy, diabetes, or epilepsy. People with disabilities are the nation's largest minority group. Nearly 1 in 5 people in the U.S. have a disability, which is approximately 56.7 million people. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 is the nation's first comprehensive civil rights law addressing the needs of people with disabilities, prohibiting discrimination in employment, public services, public accommodations, and telecommunications. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 defines persons with disabilities as anyone possessing a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or major life activities, or a person on record or regarded by others as having such an impairment. Social justice and class considerations. People with disabilities face discrimination in educational and employment opportunities resulting in limited income and social class status. The median monthly income with people with a disability is $1,961. A severe disability is $1,577. Not severe disability is $2,404, and people with no disability at all is $2,724. The poverty rates for adults: severe disability is 28.6%, not severe is 17.9%, people with no disability is 14.3%. Cultural values. Disability culture. Disability culture is people with disabilities recognizing they share a similar but unique history based on common perceptions about disability. People with disabilities have forged a group identity. We share a common history of oppression and a common bond of resilience. We generate art, music, and literature, and other expressions of our lives, our culture, infused from our experience of disability. Most importantly, we are proud of ourselves as people with disabilities. We claim our disabilities with pride as part of our identity. We are who we are. We are people with disabilities. A skill we should use to be successful is the humanistic approach with an emphasis on human growth. Counseling clients with a humanistic approach provides them with an opportunity to explore creativity, personal growth, and self development, as well as acknowledging a variety of choices. Counselors must be non judgmental, supportive, and understanding, and also show empathy. One type of humanistic counseling is the Gestalt approach. This is a direct and person centered approach that allows the individual to explore their own thoughts and feelings and then process them. This allows the individual to become more aware of their mind, body, and spirit. By working through their feelings, the client can have a better understanding of their personal experiences. The counselor will provide support and help the client to become more self aware. Working with the client, this can help to increase self development and self knowledge. There is also the person centered approach. This person centered therapy focuses on an individual's self worth and values. Being valued as a person, without being judged, can be helpful to an individual to accept who they are and reconnect with themselves. Beyond the many personal and societal issues in the coping and adaptation to disability process are the techniques and strategies counselors may incorporate into the therapeutic relationship. Many of these techniques focus on changing a person's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in relation to themselves, others, or God. Some approaches have been empirically studied and are known to reduce negative thoughts and emotion, like forgiveness or self compassion, or are discussed intensively throughout the literature as essential skills for living well with a disability. Counselors may use also these techniques to deal with very difficult emotions, redefining self concept and self identity. Learning how to self advocate and integrating these skills learned how to become more empowering. Counselors must be sensitive to individuals with disabilities regarding cultural experiences, needs, and values. Each client is unique. First, awareness of one's attitude towards disabilities, awareness of society's attitude towards these disabilities, knowledge of laws and regulations of those with disabilities, awareness of barriers and obstacles of those with disabilities, knowledge of disability models, and knowledge and skills for treating those with disabilities. Treatment implications and counseling issues. Some counseling issues. At work, many individuals with a disability want to work but are unemployed due to discrimination or lack of transportation. Discrimination is prohibited by the Americans with Disabilities Act. However, it does still exist. Family members go through 3 phases when dealing with a family member with a disability. The first one is the crisis phase. This phase deals with the diagnosis. Issues include managing change for both the family and the individual. The chronic phase is day-to-day coping. The terminal phase, this phase deals with emotions. The issues involved include pre-terminal preparation, death, and grief. Spirituality. Many individuals with disability will sometimes disconnect from their spirituality. Counselors should try to reconnect these individuals with their spirituality. Abuse. Counselors should learn and watch for signs of physical and sexual abuse. Some counseling tips. Being mindful that the expressed negative experiences related to disability are real. Considering the effects that labels many of your clients have. Treating people with disabilities as human beings rather than people with their disability. Building awareness of your own attitude and biases which may affect the counseling relationship. Being aware of how people with disabilities describe themselves. Respecting the fact that persons with disabilities know their own bodies and experiences. Getting the necessary training and supervision needed to effectively counsel people with disabilities, paying attention to the abilities and strengths of people with disabilities and incorporating them into the counseling relationship, recognizing that most people with disabilities do not live their life focusing on their disabilities or limitations. Identifying counseling topics which make you feel comfortable, like sexuality and disability, so you can address these and be willing to have an open mind to the shared experiences within the counseling relationship. And a final area worthy of mention is the general counseling tips that all professionals who counsel people with disabilities should keep in mind and practice. Counselors who are mindful of these tips will increase their chances of developing an effective therapeutic relationship and understanding of people with disabilities. Many of these tips are simply based on common sense and related to the art of treating people with disabilities with the respect and as a human being as the same as anyone else.